My name is Sigrid Lindemann, and I thank Gyan Chairman to invite me to be part of this video group, WhatsApp group. I would like to share today on my experience with cetaceans and with pinnipeds. Pinnipeds are the seals. So I have used several of these remedies and have also documented. And I'd like to share this. So first of all, I think we know Lac Delphi. This is documented in the repertory. And the dolphins and orcas and whales are descendants of hoofed animals like hippopotamus and camels and pigs. So they are basically group animals who are made to flee rather than fight. And Lac Delphi is known as very playful, very sensitive, up to having psychic abilities of sensing a woman if she's pregnant, of sensing people in danger. So benevolent and helpful, very playful, and its characteristic also is to have sudden bursts of anger, and which also again suddenly stop. Usually we have complaints because the bond with the family is so close that if there's some fights or discussions in the family, or if somebody leaves, then the person will get sick. It starts already with going to sleep. This is also kind of leaving the group. And so these children usually take a long time to fall asleep. They always stay very close to their parents for sleeping, preferably. They won't go to sleep over with anybody. And the first complaint usually is urinary tract infection. That's what we can see. Of course, in the hobbies we see that they like to swim and dive, and they have all these natural affinities. They also like to show what they can do, that they can dive deep, that they can dive long, or they can do acrobatics. This is very typical of Lac Delphi. Yeah, I would put Lac Delphi in psychotic miasm. And I think we have information on Lac Delphi. Now in my close family, there's a person who got Lac Delphi for 10 years and benefited. And then in teenage time, suddenly Lac Delphi wouldn't work anymore. And so I had to think differently, and there were some characteristics which didn't really fit Lac Delphi, because the person is more aggressive, more dominant than a usual Lac Delphi. So much so that some colleagues told me, why don't you give Lac Leo or some remedy like this? But then Lac Leo wouldn't fit, because all the affinities are with water, with ocean, and there was so much similarity with Lac Delphi. So first I tried Lac Phoca, which unfortunately didn't work. And then I found that orca is available, so I gave it a try. And this works now since 5 years. So how is orca different than Lac Delphi? It's also a kind of dolphin. It's a much bigger animal which lives in highly complex social structures with a certain hierarchy. And each group has their own techniques in hunting and survival. So what difference I would see is, first of all, I would put orca in the syphilitic miasm. As the anger is up to destructiveness, up to smashing something, up to fighting physically, giving a slap, pushing somebody, or fighting to find out who's the stronger one physically. Even fighting much bigger enemies, much bigger people, bigger people in the group, teachers. Because, so what I found out, the feeling behind is of being very powerful, of being a very huge being, and this feeling becomes even exaggerated once there's anger. Then the feeling of a big power comes, which has its own issues. So if I have a lot of power, how do I manage the power? How do I control? How do I channel the power for the good purposes without creating havoc, without destructing? I think this is the main theme in orca. How not to distract, but work positively. So there's a big discrepancy between the loving care for family, for animals, for babies, for nature, and then a big potential to destruct at the same time. So caring for small animal babies, squirrel babies, even mice, and then the disaster when these baby animals, sometimes they don't survive, even with best care, with the best intentions. So from being the one who saved the animals, I become the one who killed an animal. So this was always, again and again, the big issue for this person. Not to kill, but to care. Not to kill, but to help, to rescue animals, to rescue people, to rescue friends who are in disaster. I've seen also suicidal ideas appearing out of the blue in teenager times. Another reason to put it into the syphilitic miasm. Then this person, she can hear ultrasound. When there's an ultrasound checkup, she can describe the ultrasound, and even if the doctor manipulates it, afterwards she could tell the doctor how he manipulated. So our good doctor, he nearly fainted because he had never expected a person being able to hear ultrasound. So this, of course, refers to the echolocation capacities. Then another typical issue is that marks of the skin are seen as a sign of individuality. So this also the researchers of orcas describe, and also my patient describes. And then being dressed in black and white is always an issue for her. And she created stories of a kind of cow being on the ice, falling into the hole. So which are issues of orcas, obviously also issues of phoca. There are similarities here. So she likes ice and snow, coldness, and of course AC. She managed to buy a fur and wear it in the AC room in South India. Because mammals all like fur. Mammals are the furred animals, no? Even if the dolphin or the orcas don't have fur anymore. So, and then we did a titration of blue whale. A friend of mine, colleague in Germany, gave me a piece of bone of a blue whale from a marine zoo. So I was very curious. We were a group of 5 people, of volunteers, colleagues in my clinic. And I was doubting, if you would get the calcium carbonicum or calcium phosphoricum symptoms, but actually none. And it was blind titration proving. That means we meet for about 7 hours and we titrate the substance for 1 hour 4 times. So we do a C4 titration, and in between we share what we feel and what we notice. And it was this Sunday work. This was one of the most lovely moments in my life, I have to say, because we had a lot of sharing, a lot of communication. We felt all very cozy, very like one, and the heart was very open. And we started topics, and we just communicated as if we are one. It was amazing. we celebrated being together. So even in November in South India, we would talk about Christmas and about ice hotels and about the ocean. So this is, of course, similar again to Lac Delphi. What is different was that there was no anger, there was no sense of urgency. It was timeless, it was serene, it was so calm and peaceful. We felt like a kind of yogic state. Nothing can happen, nothing can change this. We felt extremely, on top of the world actually. Yes, we felt very good. Also with playfulness. My colleague brought an ambulance car, play car. So the theme of helping people who are hurt, who are sick, similar like Delphi turned up. Cold feet, everybody had cold feet, even it was not cold at all. And a lot of sensing each other. It was a lot of concern for each other. And my colleague put it very nicely. It was like traveling and being at home at the same time. Yes, this was very much how we felt. So the blue whale is the biggest mammal. It has no predators. So certainly this makes a difference. We felt that there's nothing which can ever happen. And I'm surprised to know that the blue whales communicate so much and that they celebrate Christmas. No, maybe not celebrate Christmas, but it seems that, as we know, they're communicating in the deep ocean over long distances, that they communicate a lot. They love to do that. Now, if we look at the picture of Ambra grisea, which is another kind of whale, but still a whale, I would think that the remedy picture of Ambra grisea we have is very much the pathological picture, very much the picture of the suffering, whereas in our titration we had very much the picture of the potential, of the good feeling, of the positive side of the feeling of the whale. So both provings together, I think, give quite a picture. Of course, it's not exactly the same remedy. And the Ambra grisea has teeth, and the blue whale is just eating small animals. So it is it's a different energy. Still, just to put it in perspective. I haven't had a patient on blue whale yet. You will find the detailed proving on my website. I will give the link after. And maybe you have a patient. That would be wonderful. Then there's a similar group, which are the pinnipeds. So the pinnipeds are the lac phoca and the otaries, the seals. Though we would think that they're very close to Lac Delphi and the whales, they're actually slightly different because they're descendants of the bears, of carnivora. And this also is apparent in the energy and is a good help to differentiate them because they are slightly more aggressive, slightly more punchy than Lac Delphi and the others. So I have a really nice case of lac phoca, a young lady, and the theme of lac phoca is the feeling of being left alone. And she felt this was for her the worst, and she was actively go out of her way for people who would feel alone, teenagers who have problems in their family, people who are outsiders of the group. So she would go and pick them up and include them and take care of them and neglect her own business, her own exam preparations, her own friends, just because she has to take care of people who are left alone. And forsakenness. And on the other side, we have the feeling like the mammals have of organizing everything for everybody, the food, the travel, the stay, very much so. And she would, her big issue was that her father left the family when she was 2 years old, and now she's 18. And her father lives far away, but she makes it a point to visit him at least once a year, and to talk with him over the phone every week. Once she goes there, she's extremely disruptive to the family setup there, to the new wife, to the new child. She wants to protect the new child from his mother, which obviously is not her role. And she wants to stop her father from smoking cigarettes because she's concerned for him, which she cannot do. She brings her friends there, and the father has to accommodate everybody, and then they stay on the beach and laze around all day in Italy. And then she goes surfing on the ocean, and when she's surfing on the ocean, she doesn't feel alone at all, though she's all alone. There she feels in control and in her element. But she has this recurrent dream of lying alone in the snow, and there's nobody. And even a normal life, once there's snow, she gets very scared. She gets very panicked. Even if she's in a group, she can't bear it. So she doesn't. But alone in the ocean, that's okay. So this is so strange, and leads us to the remedy, because the seals, the phoca, survival mechanism is that the babies are left on the snow in the shore, and the mother has to go out and hunt in the ocean, and the babies, they can't defend themselves at all. They are extremely vulnerable for this short period of their life, and they call out for the mother. They call out for the mother. Mother not necessarily comes back. Maybe she doesn't find them. Maybe she gets hurt, maybe she gets lost. So this reflects very much in the central theme of the remedy. What else to say? This was a very plumpy young lady, but this was no issue for her. She's a very strong lady, very active. She had very strong headaches when she was stressed, particularly when there was fights with her mother. Now this completely stopped, and she also found better ways how to manage with her mother. She actually took up then a kind of leading motherly role in view of her mother, and managed the situation to her favor without fighting. She also made it a point to stop taking care of all her friends, all the travels, all the food, all the stays, but rather start to have everybody share the work. She went to travel, also visited me in India twice, and we're in good contact. She first, when we met when she was 18, she wanted to do the same job as her mother in graphic design. Then through traveling she found out that she has to find her own way. I think this is also due to the remedy, so that the imprint of the mother slowly recedes, and she finds what she has to do in life, which I suspect will be rather with a kind of social work than with art. But we will see. Then I have 2 cases of otari. And here, these 2 patients, they have an issue with feeling too fat and feeling ugly, like a leprous feeling themselves, while they're just maybe 5 kilos overweight, not more. And so the first, this lady, she had a lot of issues with competition with other women, and she would describe how when she's angry and jealous with women, she would just like to turn around and scratch their backs with her nails. Kind of an aggressive streak, very straightforward lady, making it like describing it like a joke, but wow, oh. Yes, so she likes more, she's more boyish, and she likes more she likes more men and men's company, and she has 2 sons, and with men, this straightforwardness and directness. This is what she likes, not this sissy stuff of women. No, not for her. So I gave her first luck phoca, which did 80% of the job, also which reduced her weight, which she was very lucky with, because before she was obsessive into having to eat sweets every evening, everything which makes fat. And she talks about this blubber all around her, which is of course an issue which seals have. They stock fat in their survival mechanism for times of need. And the otaries are also trained in, to catch fish. So she was very much concerned with eating and obsessed by eating. So we could see this in the remedy picture. And she doesn't like to, she likes to laze around like phoca, but not in sand, but it has to be rocks, and she wants to jump down off a cliff. So this is much more typical for otaries than for black phoca. Yeah, she was very jealous. And also this second patient, he had a big issue with betrayal, with fight with his wife. His wife was saying that she has no affair with anybody, but he found out later that she certainly had, since years on conferences and seminars. And for him the big conflict was should he believe himself or be loyal with his wife. So if his wife says she has no affair, then why he shouldn't believe her? So it took him time, and he even had to hire a detective to believe what he felt. And even with all this, he wouldn't separate from her, even with all the evidence gathered. So the feeling of loyalty, which we see in Lac Phoca, is also a theme in Otari, but the theme of betrayal and excluding somebody aggressively comes from Otari, and the feeling of protecting somebody from being forsaken we see in Lac Phoca. Yeah, I think this is the difference between the two. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed this talk. I would be happy to hear of these cases, and if it can be help for differential diagnosis, please contact me, and I will send you my website and contact details after this. Thank you.